For almost a century, humanity searched the darkness between galaxies for one simple reason. We believed nothing was there. Every telescope, every probe, every equation reached the same conclusion. Beyond the thin halo of stars, surrounding our galaxy lay an ocean of almost perfect emptiness. No planets, no rogue suns, no civilizations, just distances so vast that even light struggled to give them meaning. Then, on an ordinary maintenance shift aboard the Deep Space Observatory Asterion, someone noticed a mistake. At least, everyone assumed it was a mistake. The object appeared on a long-range gravimetric scan for less than half a second before disappearing. It had no thermal signature, no reflected light, no radio emissions. It didn't move like an asteroid, and it certainly didn't behave like a spacecraft. The technician who found it almost deleted the reading. His name was Leo Sato, and he'd spent 12 years filtering out false positives from deep space sensors, cosmic rays, detector noise, software glitches. He'd seen them all. This looked no different, except for one detail. When the object vanished, it left behind gravity. That wasn't supposed to happen. You can hide light. You can absorb radiation. You can even disguise heat if your technology is advanced enough. Gravity doesn't disappear. Within 6 hours, every major observatory in human space had quietly redirected their instruments toward the same coordinates. Nothing. The object was gone. Officially, the event never happened. Unofficially, a message marked Priority Black reached the Scientific Council before sunrise. 3 days later, the exploration vessel Dauntless departed without a public announcement. Its destination wasn't listed. Its mission wasn't disclosed. Even its crew believed they were testing a new navigation system until the ship crossed the outer frontier of mapped space. Captain Maya Ilyan stood on the bridge as the final navigation beacon disappeared behind them. Report. The nearest inhabited system is now 412 light-years astern. Communications. 23-minute delay. She nodded. We're officially alone. The bridge lights dimmed as the ship entered silent running mode. Ahead stretched a darkness unlike anything found inside the galaxy. There were no familiar constellations, no glowing nebulae, only scattered islands of distant starlight suspended across an endless black sea. Most astronauts described the sight as beautiful. Maya found it unsettling. The mission briefing had contained only one sentence: find whatever generated the impossible gravity signature. 5 days passed, then 10. The crew settled into routine, although no one admitted how tense they had become. Every instrument watched the void with obsessive patience. On the 12th day, the ship's eye interrupted the silence. Anomaly detected. Every head turned toward the main display. What kind of anomaly? Maya asked. The eye paused. I cannot classify it. That answer drew more attention than any alarm could have. The stranger stood only a few feet away. He wasn't wearing a spacesuit. He wasn't surrounded by any visible technology. He looked completely ordinary. Dark gray jacket, black trousers, hands folded behind his back. If someone had told Maya he was a university professor taking an evening walk, she would have believed them. Nothing about him suggested he had just appeared aboard a classified military vessel hundreds of thousands of light years from civilization. He looked around the frozen bridge with mild curiosity, before his eyes settled on Maya. Interesting, he said. You can still move. Maya instinctively reached for the sidearm on her belt. She couldn't. Her hand stopped halfway, as if the air itself had become solid. The stranger noticed. I wouldn't bother. You aren't trapped. You're simply existing at a different pace than the rest of your ship. She forced herself to remain calm. Who are you? He tilted his head. My name has changed many times. That's not an answer. No. It's the only truthful one. Maya glanced around the bridge. Every crew member remained frozen exactly where they had been. A cup of coffee hung motionless in midair, droplets suspended like tiny glass beads. What did you do to them? I didn't do anything. He looked almost offended. I paused. Nothing. I merely stepped into a frame of reality, where time flows differently. You happen to follow. You expect me to believe that. I don't expect belief. He walked toward the observation window. I only expect curiosity. Outside, the impossible black sphere floated in perfect silence. Except now Maya realized something she hadn't noticed before. It wasn't floating. The stars behind it were moving, slowly, almost imperceptibly, as though the sphere wasn't traveling through space. Space was flowing around it. What is it? She whispered. The stranger answered without turning. A door. A door to where? He smiled faintly. Wrong question. The better question is, who built it? The bridge lights flickered. For the first time, uncertainty crossed the stranger's face. They've found us sooner than I hoped. Maya followed his gaze. The black sphere began to change. Thin lines of pale white light spread across its surface like cracks in frozen glass. One by one, They connected until they formed a pattern unlike any language humanity had ever seen. The ship's artificial intelligence suddenly spoke. Warning. It paused. I recognized this signal. Every scientist aboard the Dauntless had spent decades expanding the eye's knowledge. It had access to every language ever recorded, every mathematical system, every known civilization. Maya stared at the nearest console. Recognize it from where? I do not know. The information exists within my core memory. It has no recorded source. The stranger closed his eyes. They've already begun. The sphere emitted no sound, no pulse, no wave of energy. Instead, every display aboard the Dauntless changed at once. Navigation data disappeared. Sensor readings vanished. Every screen displayed the same sentence. No translation software activated. No language database matched it. Yet every person who later described the event insisted they understood the message perfectly. It wasn't read. It was simply known. The message contained only 7 words. Observation of this universe has now commenced. The bridge shook violently. Time snapped back to normal. Coffee splashed onto the deck. Crew members stumbled as alarms erupted from every console. What happened? I've lost sensor control. Power fluctuations across every deck. Maya spun toward the stranger. He was gone. Only the black sphere remained. Then, without warning, it dissolved into thousands of tiny points of light. Not an explosion, not destruction, a separation. Each fragment accelerated away at impossible speed, vanishing into different directions across the galaxy. The science officer stared at the tactical display. They're heading toward inhabited systems. How many? Maya asked. The officer swallowed. I can't count them. The ship's eye answered instead. Estimated total 1,321,412. Silence filled the bridge. More than 1 million objects, every one following a precise course. Within 3 hours, emergency reports began arriving from every sector of human space. Mining colonies detected identical black spheres entering orbit before disappearing. Long-range observatories tracked impossible gravitational disturbances. Deep space stations reported silent objects watching from beyond nearby stars. Every report described the same thing. No engines, no communication, no detectable energy, only observation. Within 24 hours, every major government quietly declared a classified scientific emergency. Civilian exploration beyond mapped space was suspended indefinitely. Publicly, officials called it a temporary precaution. Privately, no one believed that explanation. Captain Maya submitted her final mission report, exactly 72 hours after returning to Earth. The final paragraph contained only one sentence. We believed we had discovered an object. I now believe the object discovered us. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe now because this is only the beginning. In Episode 2, humanity opens a vault buried beneath Antarctica for more than 2 centuries. Inside is a sealed message that should not exist. The document was written decades before the Dauntless mission. It accurately describes the black sphere, and the signature at the bottom belongs to someone who has not even been born. Who wrote it? And more importantly, how did they know? I'll see you in the next episode.